Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation on competency-based questioning and assessment. Competency-based education focuses on meaningful and positive learning experiences of students. It involves active engagement, making learners active participants in their education rather than passive recipients. It involves asking the right questions, thought-provoking questions, encouraging brainstorming and thinking out of the box. To introduce CBE in the examinations, schools first need to familiarize the students through formal assessments, revision tests, and regular classroom activities. We should start implementing CBE questions in daily classes to prepare them for their upcoming half-yearly examinations. The level of preparedness will impact the result across all the campuses. So it's crucial to begin now. The entire school leadership team has to develop this ecosystem in their schools. Now it all boils down to the fact of asking the right question. Asking the right question is like planting the seeds of curiosity. They grow into the trees of understanding that bears the fruits of wisdom. One of the most famous instances of right questioning changes the course of history is associated with Sir Isaac Newton. Newton was sitting under an apple tree when an apple fallen on his head. This event prompted him to ask himself a simple yet profound question: why apples fall down to the ground? This question led Newton to delve deeper into the concept of gravity, ultimately leading him to formulate his law of universal gravitation. Coming to our next slide, competency-based education. Competency-based education is an approach to teaching, learning, and assessment that focuses on the student's demonstration of learning outcomes and attaining proficiency in particular competencies in each subject. So, the rapidly evolving world of technology has introduced professions like AI, design thinking, blockchain, e-commerce, social media, and digital marketing, etc., which were unimaginable during our senior secondary education times. Just as we could not predict these changes, our current students will face unpredictable scenarios by the year 2030 or by the year 2035. To prepare them for these unforeseen challenges, we must equip them with the right mindset to solve practical problems, open mindedness for continuous learning, and strong critical thinking skills. Competency based education is the key to achieving these goals in today's classrooms. In the past, our education approach often revolved around rote learning, where students were asked questions like what is that, what is the nature, property, characteristics of that, what is importance of that, and what do you mean by this. This method primarily focused on memorizing of facts and information without truly understanding the underlying concept. However, this traditional rote learning approach has limitations. It may result in students being able to recite information but lacking the ability to apply knowledge critically or think creatively. In a rapidly evolving world, this style of learning may not be adequately prepare students for real world challenges and problem solving scenarios. For example, when I studied the concept of Ohm laws in physics in my grade 10th, but I always struggle to apply practically when it comes to basic things like even changing the bulb. I never knew what kind of bulb to buy or how to handle the electrical connections of wire safely. As we all know that CBSE has streamlined the CBE by including it in the assessments from this year. The CBSE recently introduced changes in the type of questions that will be asked in the CBSE board examinations. As per the new exam pattern, at least 40% of the questions in the CBSE class 10 exams and 30% in the class 12 examinations in 2023 will be competency-based questions. The CBSE will assess the students of class 9 to 12 on the basis of application of concepts in real life, or unfamiliar situations. Let's move to the next slide. Key characteristics of competency-based questions. Competency-based questions are performance-oriented. They are designed to assess how well a student can perform specific tasks or solve real-life problems rather than simply testing their theoretical knowledge. In this, we can check the proficiency of our student in graphic designing by asking them to create how visually appealing poster for a marketing campaign. Next is contextual and relevant. These questions are typically framed in real world context or scenario, making them relevant to the subject matter or job role being assessed. In a real life scenario, we can ask students to plan a school event and also to make a budget for the expense. The students can work in the group. They can use their math skills to create a budget that optimizes the resources. Third is application of knowledge. The focus is on understanding how well an individual can apply their knowledge and skills to practical situations, demonstrating their ability to transfer learning to practical use. For example, in this we can ask students to develop a historical timeline that highlights the cause and effect relationship between significant events leading to a particular historical outcome. Next is demonstration of competencies. These questions are aligned with the specific competencies or learning outcomes that have been defined in the curriculum or job description. In an English language class, a competency-based questions might ask students to write a persuasive essay on a current social issue, evaluating their ability to present a well structured document. And last is open-ended and behavioral. Instead of asking questions to question to provide short one-word answers in grammar exercise, a competency-based question might require them to ask a persuasive essay showcasing their ability to construct arguments and articulate ideas effectively. Along with that, you have to provide a safe learning environment to the student. You have to embrace mistakes as part of the learning journey. Do not discourage out of the box ideas. Embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. Encourage students to take risks and learn from failures. You have to encourage the growth mindset among the students. Competency-based questions fosters a growth mindset, motivating students to embrace challenges in their lives. You can also do formative assessments like quizzes, discussions, mini projects. There are two dedicated slides on this topic ahead. Utilize quizzes, discussions, and mini projects to monitor students' learning progress continuously. Track student progress, do result analysis across subjects, and you will have an idea of their level of understanding of the concept. Regularly monitor and record student development to identify strengths and areas which need improvement. Also do self-assessment. Do double check if there is any need to reinforce the concept. Does some student require more classes? Encourage the students to reflect on their understanding and identify areas for personal growth. It is just a reflection and checking was there any learning gaps? If yes, then how can we deliver the lesson in a better way, or is there a better way to plan the lesson? You have to dedicate some time to practice as well. You have to allocate specific practice time for students for these questions as well. You have to enhance retention and skill development as well. And at the end, you have to celebrate the progress. You have to acknowledge and reward the achievements achieved by your students. You will be amazed from the process. You will notice that the weak students or the slow learners, they will show improvement in their classes. They will start enjoying your lessons. The absenteeism will definitely go down, and you will have an overall positive learning environment in the classroom. This may result in increased interest across all the subjects for the students. Acknowledge and reward students' achievements to inspire ongoing improvements and motivation. And at the end, you have to motivate and encourage them so that they stay ignited. Study the process of CBE. First and the foremost thing that a teacher has to do is to make the student in the class understand the importance of competency-based questions. Teachers have to make the students in the class understand first that competency-based questions empowers critical thinking, problem solving, and lifelong learning. It creates a shift in the mindset of the learners by inculcating and streamlining these habits in their daily lives. Competency based questions develop students' higher order thinking skills and foster a mindset of continuous learning. Before starting anything, the teacher has to assess the current understanding, critical thinking, and problem solving abilities of the students. These questions go beyond rote memorization and provide a more comprehensive assessment of students' knowledge and skills. After that, you have to, as a teacher, you have to integrate the competency based questions in your classroom on a daily basis. You have to, by including it in your regular classroom sessions, by including these questions in regular class sessions, you can promote deeper learning and skill development. You have to address different levels of Bloom's taxonomy as well. Competency based questions cater to various cognitive levels, stimulating students' intellectual growth. Next is you have to make them aware of the real life scenarios as well. You have to relate questions to practical situations, be it any subject. You have to link questions to practical situations which can help students see the real world relevance of what they are studying and learning. Also, you have to show relevance of concepts. Competency based questions demonstrate the application and value of theoretical knowledge in everyday life. After that, you have to promote active learning in the classroom. You have to encourage group discussion, plan your lessons, and keep aside time for these things. And maybe at the end of the lesson, have a brainstorming session with students. Engage students in group discussions with such questions that encourages active participation and collaborative learning. After that, you have to provide constructive feedback to your student. Feedback on competency-based answers guide students' improvement and support their learning journey. In this slide, we can see the difference between rote-based questioning and competency-based questions. You can go through these two slides. It will give you a better and a clear picture, a better idea about difference between these two sets of questions. Now let's move towards the benefit of the CB. It promotes engagement and motivation. Students often find competency-based assessment more engaging and motivating than traditional exams. The practical relevance of the questions can foster a deeper interest in learning. Authentic assessment. Competency-based questions emulate real-life situations, making the assessment more authentic and aligned with the skills students will need in their future careers. Clear learning outcomes. By time the learning outcomes with the competency, the students and teachers have a clear understanding of what is expected and can focus on achieving these goals. Preparation for future. As the job market evolves, employers are increasingly seeking candidates with practical skills and problem solving abilities. Competency based assessments help students these sought after skills Real world applications. It assesses students' abilities to apply their knowledge and skills to real world scenarios. This type of assessment goes beyond memorization and encourages problem solving skills. Deeper understanding. It measures students' deeper understanding of the subject matter rather than just the factual recall. This leads to a more comprehensive evaluation of their learning progress. Personalized learning. Competency based assessment can identify individual strengths and weaknesses, allowing teachers to tailor instructions based on each student's specific needs. This promotes personalized learning and maximizes students' potential. High order thinking. The nature of competency based questions requires students to analyze, sympathize, and evaluate information. These higher order thinking skills are essential for success in higher education and beyond. And last is transferable skill. As competency based questions assess the application of knowledge in various contexts, students develop skills that can be transferred to different situations, preparing them for future challenges. For example, project management. You can assign a student to plan and execute a school event. He'll describe these steps involved. He will create budget of the budgeting, and he will organize and manage the team for the event. In the response to the competency based question, students need to apply their knowledge of budgeting, organization, and teamwork to plan and execute a school event successfully. As they navigate through the managing the event, they will develop a project management skill that can be transferred to various situations in their future life. These skills can be valuable in different contexts. For example, organizing some community activity, leading a team project in college or company, or managing personal projects and events. Now let's discuss the type of questions in CB. First type of question are case-based question. You can present a scenario or real-life situation and ask students to analyze the case and answer questions based on their understanding of the subject. And you can, for example, you can ask them to analyze the role of Mahatma Gandhi in the Salt March of 1930 and its impact on the freedom struggle of India. Next set of questions can be source-based questions. You have to provide students with text, articles, or historical sources and ask them to extract information, draw conclusions, or answer questions related to the provided sources. For example, you can give an excerpt from an article on Indian independence movement and ask about the objective of non-cooperation movement. Third set of questions are application oriented MCQs. You can frame multiple choice questions that require students to apply their knowledge to practical situations, scenarios, or problem solving tasks. Fourth type of questions are data handling questions. Data interpretation questions. You have to provide students with graphs, charts, or data sets and ask them to interpret the information and answer questions based on the data provided. Fifth type of questions are problem solving questions. You can pose complex problems related to the subject matter and ask students to demonstrate their problem solving skills to find solutions. Sixth set of questions can be experiential learning tasks. Design questions that require students to recall their hands-on experiences, experiments, or class activities and apply the learning to answer questions. For example, you can ask students to recall any experiment that they have conducted in the class, to observe the process of evaporation and explain the steps you followed in the experiment in the classroom and the observation you made during this process. Next set of questions are critical thinking questions. You can uh, ask thought-provoking questions like define the impact of industrialization on the environment and society, and ask for various examples to support the viewpoint. Next set of questions are short answer type questions with explanations. For example, define photosynthesis and explain its significance in the ecosystem. Then comes real world application questions. You can give your students eco bags to design in science, or physical education teacher can design a fitness program specially tailored to improve the cardiovascular health of teenagers, which is a case. Next is cross disciplinary integration questions. Post questions that integrate concepts from multiple subjects to assess students' ability to apply knowledge across the two different subjects, for example, science and maths, for example, social science and English. Last set of questions are scenario-based questions, essays. You can ask students to essays or responses based on some hypothetical situations. They can demonstrate their ability to apply their knowledge. For example, imagine you woke up one day and this happened, complete the essay. In this slide, I'm sharing some important CBSE links and tools. CBSE has dedicated an entire website for this competency-based learning and education. You can visit these links. These links are very helpful. CBSE has also uploaded lesson plans, sample lesson plans on competency-based education, which can really helpful for you. I'm sharing list of tools that can help you create competency-based question banks. And that's it from my presentation. I hope that it was useful for you. Thank you so much.